We frequently get questions from viewers, either in the comments or via email, that have specific questions about what it's like to be on the Sunshine Coast. And sometimes those topics don't really necessitate a full video. But what we're going to do is we're going to group 4 or 5 of those questions into like a grab bag of frequently asked questions and answer the questions we hear asked most often.
The first one is, can you live without a car on the Sunshine Coast?
Technically, yes, you could, but your whole life would revolve around not owning a car.
Mm-hmm. Like you'd have to figure out, it depends what you do, because we do have transit and we do have like a Coast Car co-op. So you could be part of that Coast Car co-op and like sign out the car and use that. There's different vehicles, trucks along the coast too. But it all depends what you do, how often you'll need that. And then transit, where are you commuting to? Because there is transit, but it does have to cover the whole coast and it doesn't go to every little crook and cranny. And the timetable of it can only be so long. And it's not necessarily like if you have a really early morning shift, you're not going to be able to use transit. So depends what you do.
Yeah, it's not like in the city where the bus is by every 10 or 15 minutes. I think it's an hour or 2 hours between buses.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a long wait. Where there are taxi cabs. We don't have Uber or Lyft, but there is, I can't remember what it's called now, but we do have a local company that does rideshare like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll put a link in the description. I can't remember what it's called, but we'll figure it out and we'll add a link below. So we do have all those things that you would have in a big city, minus like a SkyTrain, but not as frequent.
You could make friends and carpool. Bug your friends about carpooling.
If you were on the coast without a car, you would, rely on probably walking a lot of places. So then that means you're pretty much going to be in Gibsons or Sechelt if you want to live without a car.
I guess there's biking as well, or cycling. So you could have an e-bike and that would help you get around to different locations on the coast. Next question that we have been asked is, how safe is the Sunshine Coast?
And then my reply to that is, compared to what?
Compared to what? Okay, well, we came from downtown Edmonton, little community just north of downtown. And when we moved here, we just thought this was the safest place in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got like my garage broken into in Edmonton there.
Cars broken into, windows broken, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever like feared for my life in our neighborhood,
No.
but man, everything had to be nailed down or it was going to walk off. And we don't really experience that here. You do hear every once in a while that there's a rash of, not robberies, but like burglaries. Something gets stolen out of somebody's shed or their yard or something like that.
I think it has increased. Like when we first moved here, there was less talk of it. And then I think more and more the crime rate of petty theft is increasing and people are getting cameras. Like it's not a fearful thing. It's just a bit of an annoying thing more than it has been in the past. So people are like, yeah, lock up your stuff, tuck it away. Don't leave a bike on your front porch, hide stuff like that. So
yeah, the same advice you give to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lock your doors, lock your car, put your stuff away. You'll probably be fine.
Our next question is if there are young people on the Sunshine Coast.
Right here. Young people right here.
Okay, so we are young compared to the average age on the Sunshine Coast. We actually felt pretty young when we moved out here. In Edmonton, we were kind of probably more or less your average age. And then we moved out here, we're like, oh, what did you say? We're like 17 here.
Yeah. It was a pretty big disparity between Alberta and here because I think Alberta is the youngest province.
Okay.
And then the average is higher than normal here.
So the BC average we just looked up is 42 and a half years old. And the Sunshine Coast average is 55 years old. So we are generally a little bit of an older population on the Sunshine Coast. You'll find friends your age here on the Sunshine Coast because there's kids, there's their parents. So, so depending what your age is, you will find somebody in your age category to make friends with.
If you move to the coast from someplace else and you've got kids, then you're going to make friends. Because you'll have your kids in school and sports and all the other stuff. So you'll get to meet other parents and the other parents are generally going to be around your age. So you'll make friends through your kids. If you're single or don't have kids, then there are activities that you can sign up for, kind of all the things you would expect to see in a big city. Volleyball, badminton.
Oh yeah. So that's our next question. Sorry, I cut you off. Okay. If there's activities on the Sunshine Coast. And so there's drop-in badminton, there's drop-in volleyball, I think basketball too. There's people that get together and play the frisbee thing.
The frisbee golf, I think it is, or
golf.
ultimate frisbee or whatever it's called.
Of course, there's golf courses, there's the tennis courts, there's a racquetball. pickleball,
paddling.
Yeah, the Gibsons Paddle Club.
There's pretty much anything that you would have in a big city. We have some version of it here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the difference is in the big city, you have such a big population base that you would have, there'd be like, you know, like a youth club and like teenagers and then young adult and kind of different age brackets as you got up. And everybody would maybe play in a different location or on a different night. But here it all kind of more or less just gets lumped together.
For some of them, yeah, definitely like drop-in badminton is kind of all age groups. Sometimes the drop-in night is like the younger kids come earlier in the evening, and then by the later part in the evening, then it's the adults that are sticking around. But then again, during COVID times, a lot of those indoor sports have been stopped and put on pause. So we'll see if some of them open up in the fall again, because a lot of these sports happen in the schools. They use the gyms, and so then the schools haven't been allowing those kinds of activities to happen. But there's the rec center with stuff there as well. So there's racquetball and hockey. And then in the summer, there's baseball too.
Pretty much anything you want to do, you can do.
Yeah. And really, it's really important when you move to a community to make those connections and find those things and make friends, because I found it lonely for the first 3 months until I was looking for drop-in volleyball and I couldn't find it. But I think there is one since. And instead, I found drop-in badminton. And then right away, you just make friends. So that was great. The last question that we'll touch on that we've been asked is, which is better, Gibsons or Sechelt?
It's a little bit of a loaded question. It really depends, I think. There's a lot of similarities between the two. I think most obviously is that Sechelt has a larger population, so there's more things in Sechelt, but then Gibsons is geographically closer to Vancouver, which means we're way closer to the ferry.
Yep.
So then if you were going to rely on the ferry a lot, maybe you're commuting or something, then I think Gibsons would probably be the answer for you. And if that was not so much of a concern, then probably Sechelt would serve you very well.
Yeah, they're very different communities. There's similarities, but I think I would just advise that you come visit both, spend time in both places. And it's very subjective for you to make the decision for yourselves. We did pick Gibsons after we kind of did our sleuthing. So it really depends on each person, what they want to do and what they want to have.
Yeah, there's not one of those two locations that really jumps out at me that if you say, oh, I live in this area, that people are like, what? You live there? Gross, yuck.
Yeah.
Like they're both very nice.
Yep.
Those are 5 answers to 5 frequently asked questions that we get about living on the Sunshine Coast. If you've got a question that we didn't answer, leave us a note in the comments below. And somewhere in the weeks or months to come, we'll do another version of this FAQ grab bag, and we'll maybe answer your question. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye-bye.